Tracing Your Family Roots. I'm Chuck Mason. With me today is my co-host, Janelle Blue, and our guest is Daniel Horowitz, who is with us in the United States for a couple of weeks from Israel. Welcome, Daniel. We're very, very happy that you're taking some of your time here, very limited time, to spend time with us. Daniel is a genealogy expert at MyHeritage, and he provides key contributions liaising with genealogical societies, bloggers, and as a media rep with the media, as well as lecturing and attending conferences around the world. And he was just here for the NGS conference, which ended yesterday. So what do you want to share with us about MyHeritage, Daniel?
First of all, thank you very much, Chuck, and thank you very much for the audience and the invitation. Always a pleasure for me to come here again and to showcase what MyHeritage is doing. MyHeritage is right now celebrating 20 years, and we have been offering tools for people to research their family trees. We started allowing people to build their trees and giving them matches between those trees. Later on, we added records, and because we are offering everything in 42 languages, we are kind of a global company. We also have records from all over the world. Counting up till today, we have 19.4 billion historical records. And we offer also people matches between their trees and the records. The third part that MyHeritage has is the DNA. It's kind of the new kid on the block. It's relatively recent, but people are doing DNA tests at the beginning to find their ethnicity estimation and what their ancestors came from. But today, more and more people are testing for the matches and are trying to look for biological ancestors or relatives. A lot of people that were adopted, or suddenly they discover their parents or grandparents were not who they said they were. And MyHeritage is trying to help them also with that. But today, we are also putting a lot of emphasis in photos, because more and more people are discovering, in the attics, these boxes of old pictures, some of them with damages or black and white, and they not always know who is in those images. So for the last couple of years, MyHeritage has been taking a lot of initiatives on developing tools to help people with those pictures.
And how are you gathering the pictures? Are people able to contribute pictures?
We're only giving the tools. Okay. Each individual must scan their pictures and upload it to the website.
Okay.
When you say scan, is it like a flatbed scanner or a phone, or how?
It used to be a flatbed scan until we all came with those mobile phones. Mm-hmm. Today, it's not scanning the word, it should be digitizing. And anybody out there can just take their mobile phone, and the resolutions of those devices, the cameras of those devices are great. Okay, even I, who use not the last model of phones that came out, the resolution is quite good. So just taking a snapshot of that picture, that is good enough to upload it to the website. And MyHeritage for a couple of years have a mobile app, both for iPhone and Android, that people could use to follow up with the trees and with the records and with the DNA, and also a few features for the pictures. But very recently, just a couple of weeks ago, we decided to release a new app. And I would like to talk a little bit about that. But before, because It's funny what happened with MyHeritage. We started with some technology, and only now we are making order on those technologies. We started first with the colorization, because most of the people had these black and white pictures,
Yes.
or had these pictures in brownish
Sepia,
color,
yeah.
sepia. And that's not how we live our life. That's not how our ancestors lived our life. So we decided to start with colorizing those pictures. Then we realized some of those images have scratches or bends or things that don't look good. And then we had this technology to repair the pictures. And you can see here, for example, when you apply each of those tools, and those examples that we're watching now are on the website. So you don't necessarily need the mobile app, but it's also available there. On the website, you can apply each of the technologies and see the before and after, and how your picture gets improved. And those scratches and those things are just magically being fixed. Another problem that people had with pictures is the quality of the image. The cameras that people had back in the days didn't do a good job with focus or with what we call today resolution. So MyHeritage has another tool that allows to enhance at least the faces of the individuals on the pictures. And I brought here just a sample, and I will move to that in a second, how you can see results on the faces of your ancestors, and suddenly you can see them as clear as you remember them, and not blurry and not out of focus as the picture originally saw. Now, there is a word that is very common today, which is artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And yes, that is the technology that MyHeritage is using. And most of the words out there of the use for this artificial intelligence is for chat, GPT, and to have conversations. But there are other usage of this technology. If we can teach the computers how our ancestors looked and what are the backgrounds and the things that most common people used in those times, we can get great results.
So the intelligence is based on some other information that you have given it, or is it sort of profiling based on an aggregation of information that may or may not be exactly?
In this case, we're only using the information we see in the picture. Like, we know a rose, if it's red, and we are able to see how the flower should look like and the colors that the flower should have. That's how we are being able to move from the original picture, black and white, into the colorized picture. If we detect that there is a scratch on the picture, we can fill those gaps with whatever pixels or whatever things we had in each side of the scratch. It will not be 100% perfect work, because the scratch lost some of the information that was there. But as you can see on the screen, I would say that the results are very impressive.
Yes.
And yes, exactly as you said, the first step should be to scan or to digitize the image. And that is where MyHeritage took the phone camera into play, and we created this mobile app. At the beginning was together with the mobile app that we had already available for genealogy research, and we took advantage of the camera and the microphone to be able to add some capabilities over there. One thing that I know our users loved is the option to record an audio together with the picture. The way I do it is I take any of my family pictures, I go to my relatives and I interview them and I ask them what they remember about that picture, who is there or why it was taken. And then I record their audio explaining or telling me the stories of the pictures together with the image.
So if I click on that image, then I can hear the audio?
That's the idea.
Wow.
That's the idea, with the voices of your own family. If you don't have anybody to interview, you can record yourself explaining about the picture.
Oh my goodness.
One of
that's
the things
really
I've got a question with the colors. In the 60s, and I think it went at least into the 1970s with Kodak, as the pictures aged, the colors changed and it became either washed out or had a reddish.
Yeah.
Will this help to correct that also?
Definitely.
Particularly those with the Instamatic cameras where, you
Oh, yeah.
pulled it out
Yeah.
and pulled.
They're all orange now.
Yeah.
The chemistry back then was not great.
Great.
But same as we, let's say, backup engineer how the real colors were turned into black and white, also it's predictable how those color pictures from the 70s and 80s were fade out.
Okay.
So the computers are power enough today to be able to go to the original colors. And it's really magnificent what new things you can discover on the pictures when you see the right colors. But as you said, the first step, which is, I would say, unfortunately, the last thing MyHeritage did, was the digitization. And that is where this new app, Reimagine, comes in. Because we all have photo albums at home. And when we started to try to digitize those pictures, the first thing we tried to do was to take the pictures out of the album, which was a big mistake because when we put it over there, some of us even use super glue, so they will not come out.
Right.
So every time you try to take the picture out, you're actually damaging the picture.
Right.
Another thing is that when you try to take a picture of a picture, you not necessarily frame that picture properly. The picture is not in a good angle. You have reflection. So today the technology is so good, and again, taking advantage of the artificial technology, that the new app allows you to take a picture of a whole page. We will detect where each of those images are, and we save those images individually.
Whoa.
So you can just go over the album, you can just snap the pictures, we will scan, we will save the images, and then you can apply all the other technologies that we already have, the colorization, the repair, the enhancement, and even the animation. And I know a lot of people think it's a little bit creepy. I will be the first one to admit, but I can tell you, I have seen over many places in the world, people find relatives that they knew movements creepy. If it's your father, your grandparents, you will say it's creepy. But if it's an historical person, if it's your great-grandfather, somebody you never knew, suddenly you see them move them and you see them coming to life. That is what really makes it.
And viewers, what he's talking about, you can go onto the MyHeritage site and see it. He's talking about my great-great-grandmother speaking, and actually her lips are moving. I assume that they know every word and the movement of lips, so they've built that in. But it brings them to life, but it is something to get used to, I think.
Yeah, but not only that, it's the way to attract new generations into family history. Like, again, I travel all over the world and I talk to people. And one of the problems that doesn't matter where in the world you are is try to move or to bring family history focus into young generations. Today, they have all these social media channels, they are always doing videos, they're always doing multimedia things. And when you come and you show them an old black and white picture, they're not interested. They want to hear and they want to see their ancestors talking. So again, artificial intelligence came up, and basing the face, which is a shot of a face in a steady position, we're able to animate that face and give them a little bit of movement, to animate their lips, and to synchronize with words. And those words and that information is actually coming from the information in the family tree. So this is a call for everybody out there. Please, whenever you are trying to use those features, and some people may be interested only in pictures, and we understand, but if you're going to use those animation or those deep story features, make sure that you have a big family tree with a lot of facts. And we will create that story for you. Later, you could edit it, and you can add and personalize that to let the people tell their own story. And for example, I have a very good friend that took a recipe for a brisket from grandma, and using a picture of grandma, is she herself who is explaining how to prepare the brisket.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
stories around that brisket. It is really impressive. It is really a good technology, and it's a way to bring people into genealogy. This is actually the main reason why MyHeritage decided to create a totally different app for pictures. A lot of people out there, they don't care for family trees. Very bad, but that's the reality. Some people don't care for DNA, some people don't care for the records. They are only into the family pictures. So by using Reimagine, you can take advantage of all the features at a much less price than what MyHeritage offers for a complete subscription. Because yes, somebody needs to pay the bill, so we will let you try some of the features for free, but at the end of the day, you will need to pay to get a subscription and to get those tools to be used.
So, but you have to put a family tree in there because that's where you source the initial information, and then that can be edited? Or?
Again, not necessarily. You can start only with Reimagine and pictures. Then it is better if you start building your tree. If you are going to use this deep story feature, definitely a family tree will help, because that is where we're taking the information.
Okay,
If we don't have enough information to build a story, it doesn't make any sense. Like seeing your grandmother say, hey, my name is such and such and I was born here. That will be very boring. So the more facts that you have about the family, siblings, kids, parents, grandparents, all that is going to be added and make it more colorful for people to share.
But even the name and the birth date is more than we have right now with
Yes.
just a photo out there.
Yes.
So is there like a community message board or blog or something so that people can say, does anybody recognize the person in this picture?
Not at the moment, at least not managed by MyHeritage.
Okay.
MyHeritage tries to keep everything very private. So your pictures are only available to you and to the people that you invite. When we use other technologies like photo tagging, meaning to identify the people in those pictures, it is based on whatever you did before. and then we try to find similar faces in other pictures.
Okay.
But it's only between you and your pictures. Your pictures are not going to be compared with mine. And we have noticed that at least on that case, people really want to keep their information private. People want to keep their pictures for themselves and for their families. People are scared that out there having their face, their pictures associated with biometricals or even with other pieces of information can be a little bit problematic. And MyHeritage wants to keep the promise of privacy and good security for everyone. If you want to go into other forums and you want to post your pictures and ask the whole world and the community for that, that is perfectly fine as well.
It sounds like you've got what I've got. I've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures
Yeah.
and nothing on them to
Yeah.
identify who they are.
Right.
You know, which
But if you share it with your family members, maybe somebody else knows a piece of the story.
been there, done that, and,
Well-
and that didn't really work. My
Well-
mother had one cousin that I shared things with him, and he was feeding me information back that I knew he was wrong. You know, because
Okay.
in one case I had a picture I thought was my grandfather's sister standing beside a house that was being built. I knew the house was my grandparents' house, not my great-grandparents' house, because it was 2 stories versus 1 story. But he swore up and down that it was the house my great-grandparents built down the shore.
But you see, you're mentioning details that only by improving the picture, you may even realize, and you maybe even find a sign on the street that will take you the number of the picture, of the house. So sharing is the only way, and also to preserve those pictures, because what's going to happen when we're gone, and unfortunately that is the reality. Okay, we don't want, as a genealogist, we don't want all that to be lost. So by digitizing, by sharing, and by inviting other family members, then you're guaranteeing that there is a continuity. But that's not the only thing MyHeritage does. MyHeritage also likes to have fun. And one of the things I wanted to just mention very briefly, and I am going very fast over all this process of creating those stories that we were talking about. It's the time machine. And let me just get there. And sorry, I have too many slides here. But is this a possibility of upload pictures of any person and using artificial intelligence to show that person in different stages of history.
Oh my gosh.
It's totally amusing. It has nothing to do with genealogy, and I will be the first one to recognize that. But, and here is my recommendation to everybody out there. If you want kids to get interested in family history, I have seen it all over the world again. There is no better way of having their own images, or even yours, parents' images, grandparents' images, pass through this technology and show how people may have looked like in the 20s, in the Roman period. There is like military people from World War I, World War II, and it's, again, an amusing part of the history. And this is the hook that MyHeritage is using. Once you have those kids looking at those pictures, using those pictures in social media, and identifying themselves as that, questions are going to arise.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's
Kind of
that.
like
I mean,
the-
we are struggling to try to get young people interested in genealogy, and that certainly is a hook.
Well, one of the things we believe in MyHeritage is that we all need to have fun doing what we're doing. If we're getting boring and people are not catching up with it, it's not worth to do it. And that is the idea, to take all this artificial intelligence and all this computer power that we have in order to go to the new generations and to give them the tools that they want. Not necessarily what they need, but what they want, what catches their eyes and what they will bring it to genealogy. So go ahead, give it a try. You have a couple of tries for free. Then if you want to do it with more people, more photos, you will need to pay. Again, I'm very sorry. I'm not from the sales department, I'm the genealogist, but yeah, somebody needs to pay the bills.
Unfortunately, we are less than 2 minutes and we'll be out of time, but we really appreciate your coming, spending time with us out of your busy schedule, and anything else you want to make sure we share.
I will risk it, Chuck, to give you a scoop on something that is coming together with this technology, is the capability to date when a picture was taken.
Wow.
Okay? That is what we're working on. So please keep eyes and ears open, mostly in our blog, blog.myheritage.com. We will be sharing the news. Go ahead, subscribe, or open an account for free. Try all the features that MyHeritage offers you, definitely more than just pictures. And stay tuned, because technology is going to revolutionize the way we're doing genealogy.
Wow.
That
That's
would
terrific.
be great, but being able to figure out when pictures were taken.
Can you imagine? Like, you have a picture with, you know, the people, but you don't know when. I mean,
yes.
You may be able to find out by the age of the person, but other information will also help you.
Yeah. Daniel, we want to thank you for coming and spending some of your time here in the States with us. We really do appreciate it. We also want to thank the sponsor of our program, the Mount Vernon Genealogical Society, who sponsors us, and of course our producer, Sydney Sachs, and all of the people behind the scenes. Janelle and I can't do this by ourselves. We have camera people and people in the control room that take care of doing a lot of behind the scenes things. And of course, we roll the credits with all of their names.